Here's a question I ask almost every client who sits down with me. What percentage of your monthly expenses do you think Social Security is going to cover in retirement? Most people guess around 60, maybe 70%. The real number for most people is closer to 30 to 40%. That gap right there between what people think Social Security will do and what it actually does is one of the most common and most dangerous blind spots I see in retirement planning. So today, I want to walk you through exactly how Social Security fits into a complete guaranteed income plan. Not as the whole plan, as one important piece of it. By the end of this video, you'll understand what Social Security is really built to do, where the gap is, and how that gap gets filled. Let's get into it. Let's start with what Social Security actually is, because I think this gets misunderstood a lot. Social Security is not a savings account. You didn't put money into a bucket with your name on it that you're now withdrawing. It's a guaranteed, inflation-adjusted income source that continues for the rest of your life. Your benefit amount is based on your highest 35 years of earnings and the age at which you choose to start receiving it. That's the short version. We're covering claiming strategy in detail in another video, so I won't go deep into that here. What I want you to focus on are the strengths of Social Security, because they matter for how we use it in a plan. It comes with a cost of living adjustment, so it has some built-in protection against inflation. It includes survivor benefits, so a spouse doesn't lose that income entirely. And most importantly, it's guaranteed for life. You can't outlive it. Those three features, inflation protection, survivor benefits, and lifetime guarantee, are exactly why Social Security should be the foundation of your retirement income plan. But here's the key word: foundation, not the whole structure, just the foundation. So let's talk about the gap. If Social Security is typically replacing only 30 to 40% of pre-retirement income, let's put a real number on that. Say a household was earning $75,000 a year before retirement. If Social Security replaces around 35% of that, we're talking about roughly $26,000 a year in guaranteed income from Social Security. Now, think about what that household is actually spending money on in retirement: housing, healthcare premiums, and out-of-pocket costs, groceries, utilities, maybe some travel, maybe helping grandkids, maybe just daily living expenses that don't disappear just because the paycheck did. $26,000 a year doesn't cover all that for most households. So the question becomes, where does the rest of the income come from? This is exactly where I see people get into trouble. They either assume Social Security will stretch further than it does, or they assume their savings will just figure itself out through withdrawals. Neither of those is a plan. They're hopes. A real plan answers that question directly, before retirement starts, not after. So here's how we answer it. We build what I call an income floor. An income floor is simply this: guaranteed income sources stacked together that are large enough to cover your essential expenses, the non-negotiables: housing, healthcare, food, utilities, the bills that show up every single month whether the market goes up or down. Social Security is one layer of that floor. For some people, a pension is another layer. And for many of my clients who don't have a pension, a guaranteed income rider on a fixed index annuity becomes that additional layer, a second source of guaranteed predictable income that doesn't depend on market performance to show up in your bank account. Above that floor sits a different kind of money: your savings and investments. That money is meant to stay flexible. It funds the discretionary side of retirement: travel, gifts, the fun stuff. And it can grow over time. But it's not the layer we depend on to pay the electric bill every month, because that money can fluctuate with the market. So the structure looks like this. Essential expenses get covered by guaranteed income. Discretionary expenses get covered by flexible savings. And I'll mention this briefly because it matters. When you decide to start Social Security directly affects how much of the guaranteed floor it provides. Claiming earlier means a smaller guaranteed check for life. Waiting means a larger one. That decision doesn't happen in isolation. It should be made based on how it fits in with other guaranteed pieces of your plan. Here's why all this needs to be coordinated rather than handled piece by piece. I've seen people claim Social Security at 62 simply because they wanted income right away, without looking at how that decision affected their income for the next 30 years. I've also seen people lean entirely on savings withdrawals for their essential expenses, which means they're taking on market risk with money they genuinely can't afford to lose. Both of those are what happens when Social Security, savings, and other income sources are looked at separately instead of together. When they're coordinated, when we look at Social Security timing alongside pensions, annuity income, and savings all at the same time, the goal is straightforward. Make sure your essential expenses are covered by guaranteed income for the rest of your life, so market swings don't put your basic lifestyle at risk. So here's what I want you to take away from this video. Social Security is the foundation of your retirement income. It's guaranteed, it's inflation adjusted, and it lasts for life. But for most people, it's not enough on its own to cover essential expenses. It needs to be coordinated with other guaranteed income sources to build a complete floor. Because you made it this far, you might be interested in the free booklet called Maximize Social Security Income. There's a link to a website to grab your copy in the description box below. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It helps more people find this information when they need it most. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video. And drop your biggest Social Security question in the comments below. I read every single one, and your question just might become a topic of a future video. This is Retirement Security Simplified, where we specialize in turning confusion into confidence, one conversation at a time.